All right. Hello, hello, kind family. Welcome to another Tuesday night with us here at Kind and another episode of The Boob, our live show. We are so excited to be here with you. You've got me and Dominique tonight. So let's let's get going. First, right quick, I just wanted to remind you about the free breastfeeding starter pack that you can get. That comes with everything that you need to start using the Kind system, the Twist system. So it's going to come with the adapter that you need to hook to your flange, and then it comes with a bottle and a nipple that's going to hold the pouch when you're done pumping. You can feed your baby, or if you want, you can just put the cap on to store. We got a few questions about how the system works with other pumps. So I just wanted to quickly go over that we do have a few different adapters that make the system compatible with most pumps. So this here you saw I just had on a Medela flange is our standard adapter, which fits most narrow neck or standard neck bottles. And then we also have adapters for your wider neck bottles, for Lancino, Spectra, Avent. The list goes on. You can see it on our website if you're curious about what pumps we're compatible with, or send us a email to support@kind.com, and our customer service gals will make sure that you get the correct adapter. And one other question we commonly get is about using another nipple with our system, which you can do. The same adapters that fit your pump fit the nipple. So you don't need a different set of adapters. You would just need to find out what adapter went with your specific nipple. And then instead of using the Kind active latch nipple, you could just twist your nipple of choice onto there. So that's just a quick little overview of how that system works. If you haven't already used our products, then please follow the link that was just across the screen there to get yours. So that's what's going on with that, and you can use it, like I said, with most pumps on the market. If you have questions about your pump or the nipple you want to use, just let us know, and we will be able to answer that for you. How are you doing, Dominique, this week?
I'm doing okay.
Hanging
I'm
in
getting
there?
I'm getting used to living in my house.
Right. I was
And
telling my
not
mom today, my
going out.
husband's been working from home, and I was telling her it's going to be really hard for me to let him go back to work
Yeah.
because even though he kind of shuts himself in his office during the day, he's still available should
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
him. We don't have to rush around in the mornings,
That's
you know.
right. Like that, I think that's the one thing I'm liking about this, because in the morning I usually spend like an hour or two yelling at children to do what I need them to do so that we can get them to school on time. And it's just like I just wake up casually and shower casually and everybody's still sleeping and I don't have to worry about it. So
Right.
I like that part of it. But yeah, I'm getting used to it, and we just bought this house, and so stuff that we wanted to do we thought was going to be years and months down the line, we're just kind of banging it all out because we don't
Right.
have anything else to do. So
Well, it's nice to
we're
kind of find those silver linings, right?
yeah, yeah, to keep from going crazy.
Right. All right, well, let's dive into our questions. I think Emma has some questions ready for us. This one says, can you discuss storage of milk? Can we really not mix newly pumped milk with refrigerated milk? And if it is refrigerated milk, how long do I have to freeze it? So before we dive into the nitty gritty, I just want to remind everybody, we do have a blog. It's on our website. If you go to the community tab on our website, you can find the blog. And this past week, we actually wrote all about milk storage. So
That's right.
Dominique and I will cover the basics, but if you want to get really into the deep dive, please visit our website and that post. You can also find it if you just scroll a little bit on our Instagram or Facebook. We have a nice infographic that you can, screenshot or save and print or whatever. And you'll also find the link to the post there. But Dominique, I will let you dive into proper storage guidelines.
Okay, so first to address what you said, can you really not put fresh pumped with refrigerated? You actually can. The rule of thumb is to make sure that both are the same temperature. So if you already have milk in the fridge and you pumped and you want to add to it, just put that pumped milk in the fridge, let it cool down, and then add to the refrigerated milk. So they can be in the same container. They just have to be cooled down. And the reason for that is just bacteria. Bacteria is more active when it's warm. You don't want to add bacteria to, milk that's already been chilled. And it's the same thing like with cooking too. So for the basics, if you pump fresh or freshly expressed milk, it can be room temperature for 4 to 6 hours. I always have to emphasize that too, because I had one family that thought I said 46, and they had all this milk like when I went to go see them on their dresser, and was wondering why the baby was crying when they were giving it to her, and I was like, no. So it's 4 to 6 hours room temperature. It can be in your refrigerator for up to 8 days, and that's in the coldest spot, so in the back. If you're storing on the door of the refrigerator, then take about 3 days off of that. It can be in your regular freezer for up to 6 months, and that's in the coldest spot in the back. If you are storing on the door, again, take about 3 months off of that. It can be in a deep freezer for up to 12 months. And again, that's in the coldest spot. So if you're storing on the door, or if it's a chest freezer up closer to the surface, then really they recommend 6 months. Now, the other half of your question, how long do you have to freeze it? So I tell moms this: if you know you're not going to use the milk right away, then freeze it. There's no need to keep it in the fridge for days and days and days and then throwing it into the freezer, because all you're doing is just wearing down that expiration. The milk does better when you freeze it right away than when you leave it in the refrigerator and then try to freeze it. So if you pumped 20 ounces of milk and you know your baby's only going to drink 5, put the rest in the freezer. There's no need to save it for 8 days just because you can keep it in the refrigerator for 8 days. And that doesn't mean refrigerator for 8 days and then on the 8th day take it and put it in the freezer, because 8 days is how long it can stay in the fridge. After that, it needs to be tossed. So if you're not going to use it right away, then just put it in the freezer. There's no need to save it. But if you're not sure and it stays in the fridge, after a day or two, you should kind of know if you're going to use it or not, and then put it in the freezer. But it's not recommended to have it max out its expiration in all of these parts, because all you're doing is, just letting it expire, and you're further giving your baby expired milk. Breast milk is great, and it does have a long shelf life, but it doesn't last forever. So
unfortunately,
I know, unfortunately. So, again, go to the blog for Kind. You can go to their social media. That beautiful graphic is there, and you can kind of print that and stick that on your fridge to kind of help give you some guidelines. But, I always tell parents, rule of thumb, if you know you're not going to use it, just put it in the freezer, save it, put the date up there.
That's what I always.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say.
No, you're fine. I say the same thing. I say that it's easier to thaw milk than it is to test the limits. Exactly. So if you think you're not going to use it, you can quickly thaw milk under some warm running water, or in your warmer, or in the fridge, whatever. But if you max it and then you try to use it, you're risking, wasting. And we all know how terrible it is to lose even one drop of pumped milk.
That's right. And so one more thing about storage too. So now say you pumped and you put it in the fridge and it's been there for 2 days and you're like, oh, I'm not going to use it, and you put it in the freezer. The date that you write on your storage container needs to be the date that it was freshly pumped and put into that refrigerator, not the date that it goes into the freezer. Because again, it starts, the expiration date goes by the time you pumped it, not when you moved it to that device to cool or freeze. So just kind of remember that as well.
And the same goes if you are combining two pump sessions, you need to go by the oldest pump session. So yeah, if you have more questions, visit the blog, send us an email, lc@kiinde.com, and we'll be able to help. This question says, my 10-week-old baby gets bored after a few minutes of eating and never gets a full meal in one sitting. Doesn't matter if it's at the breast or with a bottle. It takes about an hour for her to finish a meal. What do I do?
So a couple of things. Take her to a place where she's not distracted. Sometimes it's like a dark room where it's just mom and baby. Sometimes, you can bring like a toy to the nursing session to kind of help distract her, so she'll stay there and nurse longer. Sometimes maybe try to get her a little bit half sleepy and then do it, so she'll kind of stay there and soothe and eat. Another thing is nurse her more frequently if you have the time. Instead of waiting 2-3 hours and then wasting an hour of that to try to get her to nurse, just maybe nurse her a little bit more frequently than what you are. That way she can get smaller feeds more frequently. Another thing is maybe call the lactation consultant and have an in-person visit and get a transfer assessment done, because she could legit just be taking in what she needs in that small time if your letdown's fast enough. And maybe she doesn't, need that much. So, we all have our ideals what a full feed is because we put it inside the bottle, but that might not be baby's belly size. Just because you make a 5-ounce bottle doesn't mean that the baby has a 5-ounce belly. That your baby could be a 2-ouncer and just want to nurse more frequently with small feed. So she could be getting like 2 ounces in that small amount of time. And she's just like, Mom, I'm happy. Let me live my best baby life. and then, which is why it's taking so long, because you're kind of forcing her to eat when she's already told you she's done. So, if the distraction doesn't keep her nursing longer, then maybe call a lactation consultant, tell her that you are concerned that baby is not nursing long, you don't know she's getting enough, and they should do a feed assessment, and you guys can kind of go from there. But yeah, I would first try those other things, and then if that doesn't work, then call lactation.
Yeah, definitely an in-person, or even right now a virtual assessment may be what you have to go with. Somebody like a Zoom call or Skype or whatever. But
yeah,
typically when a baby's taking a very long time to eat, either it's like something Dominique said, they're like distracted, or they're full and they're just playing or whatever, they're waiting and taking those breaks, or something could be going on with their oral function that they're just taking small little bits and then they have to take a break, and it's very disorganized. And a lactation professional could help you figure that out, because quite frankly, I mean, we love having our babies at the breast, but an hour of feeding every 2 hours
that's a lot.
nobody wants to be doing that. And so it's okay to ask for help, even if you go and the lactation consultant says everything looks beautiful, this is just the way that she does things. At least you have the reassurance that something else is not going on. Let's see what else is going on. This question says, how can I latch my baby and not have to hold my breast the whole time she's eating? My hands hurt. I use a My Breast Friend pillow when I feed her. Before pregnancy, I was a 32G bra size, if this information helps. So I also have experienced
I'll let you take the reins.
the holding of the breast, and some of it is unavoidable, unfortunately. Especially when you have a tiny little baby that doesn't have a lot of head and neck or trunk control, you have to help them. Some tips that I learned as I was feeding my babies is, yes, use a nursing pillow like the My Breast Friend pillow to support your baby. That way your hands are not trying to support baby and breast, because that will get exhausting. You could take a rolled up burp cloth or baby washcloth or towel and put it under the breast for some support. You may still have to kind of give a little bit of a push or a lift on your breast for the baby, but at least you're not having to like have your elbow suspended, which is where that gets sore. So that would be my suggestion, is to use a towel or a burp cloth to give some support and lift. And then in my experience, as my babies got older, they got more head and neck control. It wasn't as much of an issue because they could kind of find the breast wherever it landed, and I didn't have to, hold it up for them. So it may not last forever. as a lactation counselor, I once worked with a mom who had very large breasts, and she actually would lay her baby on the table and set her breast on the table because that was the only way that her arm didn't like fall off. She actually came to me and said, I have no desire to breastfeed because of this situation. But her baby ended up being allergic to dairy. And that was the only way she felt comfortable controlling what got into her baby was breast milk. And so there's ways that you can do it, but hopefully it won't last forever. Just try some different positioning or using a towel, or if it comes down to it, some kind of support surface to give you that lift. This question says, how soon after giving birth do you recommend to start pumping? I think we answer this question every time, Dominique. It's a great question.
Yeah. So what I usually say, if breastfeeding is going great, baby is nursing fine, latching fine. If you're going back to work, I usually say try to exclusively breastfeed for the first 2 weeks and then start pumping once or twice a day for storage for going back to work. If you have a longer maternity leave, then you can wait a couple of weeks as you feel comfortable. But most women usually have a 4 to 6 week maternity leave. So I usually just tell them the first 2 weeks, really learn how to breastfeed, get that under your belt. And then the next week after that, then you can try to figure out your breast pump once you kind of get breastfeeding going. I do not suggest waiting longer than that because some moms get a large amount after nursing, but some moms only get like a half an ounce to an ounce. And it's going to be really stressful if you wait really late and you're one of the moms that get like a half an ounce to an ounce after pumping, because then you're going to freak out that you're not going to have enough for the first day. So I always advise moms start early. That way, if there's any issues, we can figure it out before it's crunch time. But that's just my suggestion.
Yeah, I think 2 to 3 weeks, is if you're going back to work early. If you have longer and you can just kind of see how things go and see how things feel, and when it feels right, by all means, take your time. But, like Dominique said, we're very aware that most parents in our society have to go back to work fairly quickly. My only other comment on that is that you don't need hundreds of ounces in your freezer to go back to work.
That's right.
So a day, maybe 2 days to give you a little peace of mind is really all you need. And then you'll start to replace what you're making. Now, if you do have hundreds of ounces, if you're that mom, not knocking that at all. That's awesome. If you're one of those moms that responds really well to a pump, or pumping feels really nice to you, whatever, that's okay. But it's also just kind of variations of normal. I never had more than probably 15 ounces in my freezer. And that was really just enough for the next day. And I just replaced it because I just didn't always have time to pump or anything. So just as hopefully a little bit of reassurance, it's okay if you don't have a whole freezer full of milk to go back to work with.
My big one and my third one, I had probably maybe 20 ounces at a time. My middle one refused a bottle, so I had copious amounts because I was pumping and she wasn't drinking.
That's actually how my daughter was like that. She refused a bottle, and so at first I would pump to replace the milk, and then I just started donating what I pumped during the day, which was 10 or 15 ounces, and I actually worked with a mom who struggled, so I would just give her my milk at the end of the day.
Hey, look, here's this. My kid ain't gonna drink it.
and it worked out really nicely, and I was lucky that I was able to do that. But so I only add that because I know we see freezers full and carts full and racks full on social media, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with being proud of that.
That's not the norm, though.
Right, but you don't have to. There's no kind of other than what your baby needs, there's no amount you have to have stored in your freezer to go back.
It's not like cloth diapering. There's no recommended number to start with.
Right. Just feed the baby.
That's right.
All right. This question says, is there a way to avoid cracked nipples when breastfeeding, or does it just happen? Due in September and very worried about the pain, the pain I hear about other women experiencing. So I'll just kind of give you my input on this, and that is that as parents, sometimes, and it's almost a subconscious thing. I've been guilty of it. We tend to talk about the hard stuff
And the
and so
bad stuff.
and the bad stuff. And so it feels like everybody has cracked nipples, right? Because like say you're in a group like Kind Community where it's a safe space for moms to ask questions and that kind of a thing. And so in reality, Dominique and I see as lactation professionals, probably more moms do not experience nipple damage than do. We just tend to hear a lot about it. So that's my first thing is take a deep breath because there's a good chance you won't experience it. My second tidbit is work with the lactation professional at your hospital as soon as you can because a good deep latch is going to be your best preventative for damaged nipples. And I'll let Dominique give her piece on that.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Cracked and bleeding nipples means the baby is not latching on properly. And if you work with the lactation consultant from the start, they will help you to avoid that. Also, too, there's this common misconception that breastfeeding is supposed to hurt and you're supposed to be a martyr and hang in there until it just stops hurting. And then that's how you get cracked and bleeding nipples as well, too. If it hurts, I mean, that's your body's way of telling you something's wrong. When you break your arm, you don't go to the doctor and the doctor says, hang in there, buttercup, in 6 weeks it'll heal. No, he fixes it, you know? So same thing with breastfeeding. If it hurts, call the lactation consultant, work with lactation professionals to get that latch corrected so that you can avoid that pain and avoid the cracked and bleeding nipples.
Yes. All right, this will probably be our last question for tonight, and then we will pull the winner for our gift set. What is the best way to clean the nipples? I'm going to assume this is talking about Kind nipples.
Me too, and not like human nipples.
And not your own. Your own nipples, all you need to do is take a shower.
That's
Whatever
right.
you do in the shower, that is up to you. But a normal shower.
Don't scrub them. Just wash them like you normally do when a baby's not attached to them.
Right. Yes. No special treatment for body nipples. Just take a shower. Right. For bottle nipples, you could just wash them with soap and water. You can use a nipple brush to get in here. If you want to, they can be steam sterilized once in a while. We do sometimes find that too much steam sterilization causes them to kind of discolor. It doesn't hurt the nipple or anything like that. It's just the silicone in it. So if you find that your nipples are kind of like getting yellow, for lack of a better word, like kind of like not as glossy, it could be from frequent steaming. But generally, all you need to do is wash them with mild soap and water, the way that you would wash any other of your baby's eating products. If you have more questions about cleaning, please send us an email to support@kind.com or elsie@kind.com. We can give you the real nitty-gritty if you want like a list of how to clean all of our products. And let's get us a winner for the gift set tonight. We really appreciate you guys all being here and sharing, and we want to do that. While we're picking that, just a reminder again that you can email Dominique anytime at elsie@kind.com. She is so great to answer questions and to help. If you have a question that you would like input from other parents on, please join us in Kind Community. That is our lactation-led peer support group. We're getting close to 5,000 parents in there. So it's getting really exciting. So you can ask questions about breastfeeding and pumping, but also other parenting related questions. We just want to create a safe space where there are professionals in there that can answer questions and keep, we all know that Facebook groups tend to sometimes get a little crazy, and we do our best. Dominique and Lauren do a really, really great job of moderating that group for us. So
knock on wood, those moms are super nice in there. Like there's no cat knocking on wood. There's no cattiness or anything like that.
I can't think of really any issues that we've had in there. It's a really, really great group. Keep your eye out in there. We also sometimes do like special promotions and things like that in our group. That's kind of, we consider that our little Kind family there. And we want you all to be a part of it. So please, please join. If you have questions not related to breastfeeding, but you have questions about the product, then you can also email Dominique or email us at support@kind.com, and our team is here to help you. Just as a general reminder, we are business as usual right now, all that's going on, and we are that because of you guys. We really appreciate your support, not only in our social media, but in continuing to choose Kind and use Kind. And we just want you to know that. So please send us any questions or anything that you have, and we are here for you. And the winner of our giveaway tonight is Crystal Sexton. So Crystal, send us an email to support@kind.com within the next day or so to claim your gift set, and we will make sure that you get that. So thank you so much for asking a question tonight, and we are so excited. We will be in the comments answering any questions we didn't get to, so please keep asking questions if you have them. We will keep our eye on that as time goes on. And again, if you don't feel comfortable sharing your question publicly, or it's just a more involved question, send us an email and we'll help you out. And have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks.
That's right. Bye.
All right, bye.